Let me ask you something right now. When did you stop believing in yourself? When did you start waiting for someone else to come save you? Because here's the truth. No one's coming, not the government. Not your friends, not your parents, not some magical opportunity. No one is coming to rescue you. But that's not bad news. That's the best news, because you don't need a savior. You need a mirror. You need to look yourself in the eyes and remember. You were born with everything you need. Your struggles, they didn't come to destroy you. They came to introduce you to the strongest, most powerful version of yourself. The world doesn't need another victim. The world needs someone who got knocked down, chewed up, doubted, underestimated, and still rose. Someone who didn't quit when the pain showed up. Someone who got up anyway, and if you're still breathing, you still have a chance to be that person. Let's get real. You have a story you've been telling yourself, a story of limits, of lack, of I can't, of maybe later. Burn it. Burn that script right now. You're not too old, you're not too young, you're not too late, and you're sure as hell not broken. The only thing standing between who you are and who you want to be is the decision to rise. Get up and stop negotiating with your excuses. Get up and stop shrinking to fit into other people's comfort zones. Get up and walk like your future depends on it, because it does. Walk like your children are watching, because they are. Talk like your words matter, because they do. Lead like the hero you've been waiting for. Heroes aren't born. They're built in the dark, in the hard times, in the lonely hours when no one's watching. You know what separates winners from dreamers? It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not a perfect plan. It's grit. It's a decision to stand tall even when your knees shake. It's the refusal to stay down after life knocks you flat. So today, make the choice. No more waiting. No more blaming. No more hiding. The time is now. Your story is not over. It's just getting started. Be the hero of your life, not the sidekick. Not the background character. Not the one who almost made it. Be the one who refused to quit. Get up and be your own hero. That statement hits hard for a reason. It shakes the very foundation of the excuses we build our lives around. We grow up hearing stories of heroes, of people being rescued, of fate swooping in to turn everything around. But life isn't a movie, and waiting around for someone to save you is the fastest way to waste your potential. It's not that people don't care about you, some might, but they're busy trying to save themselves. Everyone's fighting their own battle, carrying their own weight. And the moment you realize that, you stop waiting and start moving. You see, there's something deeply liberating about realizing that you're the one who has to make the change. It strips away the illusions. It exposes the truth. And the truth is, everything you've been looking for confidence, strength, clarity, break through doesn't live outside you. It lives in you, but as long as you're standing around waiting for a sign, or for someone to open a door, or give you permission, you're missing the point. Life doesn't give out permission slips. Life gives out opportunities disguised as pain, challenge, and chaos, and it's your job to rise up and grab them. People love the fantasy of the mentor showing up at just the right moment. The investor who sees your potential. The partner who understands your pain. The boss who finally recognizes your work. And yes, sometimes those people show up. But even when they do, you still have to step up. You still have to do the work. No mentor, no investor, no lover, no boss can carry your dream the way you can. They can support it maybe, but they can't drive it. That's your job, and that's the problem. We don't want it to be our job. Because if it's our job, it means we're also responsible when it doesn't work. We're responsible for the missed shots, the poor choices, the delays, the distractions. It's easier to blame life, blame your past, blame the economy, blame your parents, but that blame doesn't build anything. It doesn't create success. It doesn't pay your bills. It doesn't give you peace at night. It just traps you in a cycle of frustration, where you keep waiting for something or someone else to do the lifting. You want real change. Stop waiting for the knock on the door. Become the knock. You want freedom. Stop begging for permission. Take control. You want to transform your life. Get honest, brutally honest. Ask yourself, what am I waiting for and why? Who told you that you're not ready? Who told you that you're not enough? Whose voice are you carrying that doesn't even belong to you? Because here's the secret: once you stop expecting someone to come and rescue you, you stop giving them the power to define your story. We all carry wounds, we all have baggage. Some of it was handed to us by people who were supposed to love us. Some of it came from failure, from disappointment, from rejection. But carrying those wounds doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're human, and you have a choice. Carry those wounds like a burden, or turn them into weapons of growth. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to be done waiting. Done waiting for approval. Done waiting for the perfect moment. Done waiting to feel ready. You'll never feel ready. Growth doesn't wait for readiness. It demands movement. Courage comes after you act, not before. People think they need confidence before they leap. But confidence is built through the leap, not before it. No one is born confident. No one is born with direction. It's carved out through trial, error, repetition, and the absolute refusal to quit. Every single person who's ever done something great, they had moments where they were terrified, where they questioned everything, where they didn't know how they'd make it. But the difference is, they didn't wait for someone to lift them up. They lifted themselves. They made the call. They started the project. They got up after failure. They built momentum with nothing but belief and effort, and that's available to you too. It's not reserved for the lucky or the chosen or the rich or the talented. It's for those who decide that they will be the ones who move. The ones who act, the ones who take responsibility even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Most people run from pain. They numb it, bury it, pretend it's not there. They think if they ignore it long enough, it'll disappear. But pain doesn't just vanish. It waits. It hides. It transforms into regret, into resentment, into quiet destruction. But if you're willing to face it, to sit with it, to learn from it, pain becomes something else entirely. It becomes fuel. It becomes wisdom. It becomes a tool that sharpens you in a way nothing else can. Pain has a purpose. It's not random. It's not punishment. It's a teacher, and like the best teachers, it doesn't care about your comfort. It cares about your growth. That heartbreak you thought would break you, it taught you what you truly value. That failure that humiliated you, it revealed where your foundation was weak. That betrayal that shattered your trust, it showed you how strong your boundaries need to be. You see, pain exposes the cracks in your armor, not to hurt you, but to show you where to reinforce it. You don't become powerful by avoiding pain. You become powerful by going through it, by choosing to extract meaning from it instead of running from it. Everyone wants strength, but no one wants the weight that builds it. They want confidence, but not the rejection that teaches it. They want clarity, but not the confusion that refines it. Life doesn't hand you power, it gives you the opportunity to create it. And that opportunity often comes disguised as discomfort, loss, disappointment, and struggle. If you look back at your life, really look, you'll see a pattern. The times you grew the most, the moments that defined you, didn't happen when things were easy. They happened in the fire, when you didn't know how you were going to keep going, but you did. When everything fell apart, and somehow you found a way to build something new. That wasn't weakness. That wasn't luck. That was your strength waking up. That was your power being born, one scar at a time. We live in a world that teaches us to hide our scars, to smile when we're suffering, to pretend we've got it all figured out. But the truth is, those scars are the proof of your survival. They're the evidence of your fight. You want real power, embrace every part of your journey, even the dark chapters, especially the dark chapters, because that's where the transformation happens. That's where the old version of you dies and the stronger version begins to form. Power isn't loud, it's not always flashy. Real power is quiet resilience. It's the strength to show up on the days you want to disappear. It's the courage to speak truth when your voice shakes. It's the choice to love again after being broken. That kind of power is forged, not found, and the forge is your pain. The process is uncomfortable, but it's necessary. You can't skip it. You can't shortcut it. You can only surrender to it and let it do its work. Pain isn't the enemy. Avoiding it is. Resisting it is. Pretending you don't need it is. Every time you choose to face your pain head on, you reclaim a piece of yourself. You take back control from the things that try to break you. You step out of victimhood and into responsibility. That's the shift from why did this happen to me to what is this trying to teach me. That question changes everything. It puts you back in the driver's seat of your own life. There's a part of you that only shows up in struggle, a voice inside that whispers, keep going. When everything else is telling you to stop, that voice is not weakness, it's the root of your power. It's raw, it's real, and it's yours, but you don't hear it when things are easy. You hear it when your back is against the wall, when your heart is broken, when your dreams feel out of reach. That's when the real you emerges, not the version that plays it safe, but the one who was born to rise. When pain enters your life, it's not trying to destroy you. It's trying to wake you up, to peel back the layers of who you thought you were, and reveal who you really are underneath. That's the gift hidden inside the struggle. That's the power you've been searching for, and it's already in you. Pain just gives you the key to unlock it. Every single person walks around with a story, a narrative, an explanation for why things are the way they are. You might not say it out loud, but it's running in the background of your mind, guiding your choices, shaping your identity. That story is powerful, not because it's true, but because you believe it. And the scary thing is, most people don't even know they're living by a script they never consciously wrote. They picked it up from childhood, from past failures, from other people's opinions, and now it's running their life. That story might sound like I'm not good enough, or I always mess things up, or I'll never have what it takes. It might be I don't deserve success, or I'm too old, or people like me don't win. These stories are not facts, they are beliefs. And beliefs are decisions, decisions you made maybe years ago based on pain, fear, or someone else's version of reality. The problem is, once you decide on a story, your brain starts collecting evidence to support it. It filters your world to match your belief, and suddenly your story isn't just in your head. It becomes your environment, your behavior, your results. People underestimate how deeply this story controls them. They think it's harmless, but it shows up in every area of life. It's why you don't apply for the job. It's why you sabotage relationships. It's why you say, I'm fine, when you're not. It's why you dream small, play safe, stay quiet. Because somewhere deep inside, the story has convinced you that greatness is for other people, that you are meant to settle, that your potential has limits. But that story is a lie, and it's time to burn it. You weren't born with that story, you learned it, and anything learned can be unlearned, but unlearning requires awareness. It requires you to pause and ask yourself, where did this belief come from? Who gave it to me? What event planted it in my mind? Is it even mine? Because most of the time it's not. It was inherited. Maybe from a parent who was afraid. Maybe from a teacher who didn't see your potential. Maybe from a failure you misunderstood. But just because something happened doesn't mean it defines you. What defines you is what you do with it. The most dangerous part of these limiting stories is how reasonable they sound. They come wrapped in logic, in common sense. They say things like, be realistic, or people like you don't succeed in that field. They wear the mask of protection. Don't try too hard, you might get hurt. But what they're really doing is keeping you small, keeping you quiet, keeping you safe in a cage that you don't even realize you've built around yourself. And the longer you live inside that cage, the more it feels like home. You want to grow, you want to lead, you want to break cycles, then you need to become the editor of your story. Rip out the old chapters, rewrite the dialogue, replace the fear with truth, because nothing changes until your story does. You don't need more time, you don't need more resources, you don't need another degree, another certification, or another person to validate you. You need to flip the script. You need to stop repeating the same sentence to yourself every day and start speaking something new. Something powerful, something that aligns with where you're going, not where you've been. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not the labels someone else stuck on you. You are the author of this next chapter. But you can't write a new story while clinging to the old one. You can't move forward while dragging the weight of "I'm not enough" behind you. Burn that script. Burn the version of yourself that's been shaped by fear and doubt. Not because it wasn't real, but because it no longer serves who you are becoming. This is not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing power over pity. It's about deciding that your future is worth more than your excuses. It's about waking up every day and saying, "This is who I choose to be," not "This is who life made me." There is nothing more unstoppable than a person who refuses to be defined by their limitations. Not because they haven't been hurt, but because they decided the pain wasn't going to write the story. People love to talk about talent, they glorify it. They think success belongs to the gifted, to the naturally skilled, to those born with an edge. It's an easy excuse for those who haven't risen, they were just born that way. But talent without grit is wasted potential. Talent without resilience is just decoration. Talent gives you a head start, but grit decides whether you finish. Because grit doesn't care how you started, it only cares if you keep going. Grit is what keeps you moving when the motivation dies. It's what pushes you to show up when no one's watching, when no one's cheering, when nothing's working. It's the fire that burns beneath your fear, the voice that says, "Try again." After failure, after rejection, after humiliation. Talent might open a door, but grit is what breaks it down when it's locked. Talent might give you a moment, but grit gives you a life. And in the long run, grit always wins. Heroes are not born with capes or crowns. They're built in silence, in sweat, in solitude. While the world celebrates highlight reels, heroes are made in the scenes nobody sees. The early mornings, the late nights, the sacrifices, the doubts. They're made in the reps, in the routines, in the moments they wanted to quit, but didn't. They keep going not because it's easy, but because they decided that giving up is no longer an option. That's grit. That's the real difference maker. Everyone loves the outcome, the gold medal, the applause, the achievement, but most people don't have the stomach for the process. They want the glory, but not the grind. They want to be exceptional, but only if it's convenient. Grit doesn't work that way. Grit asks for your whole self. Your consistency, your discipline, your willingness to keep going when it's boring, painful, exhausting, or uncertain. Because grit doesn't show up when things are good. It shows up when everything falls apart and you keep showing up anyway. You want to do something meaningful. You want to become someone unstoppable. Then forget about being gifted. Focus on being relentless. Forget about being the best. Focus on never backing down, because grit is not glamorous. It's not sexy. It's not always visible. But it's the one thing you can control every single day. You can't control where you started. You can't control how talented you are. But you can control your effort, your attitude, your ability to keep showing up. That's what separates the ones who rise from the ones who fade. Not genius, not luck, not perfect conditions, just grit. The grind that nobody else wants. The repetitions no one applauds. The courage to fail and try again and fail again. The commitment to keep pushing when the excitement wears off. The discipline to work when others rest. That's how greatness is built. That's how heroes are born. There are millions of people more talented than you. That's not the point. The point is how many of them are willing to do what you're willing to do. How many of them are willing to stay late, rise early, outlast, outwork, outfight. Because at some point, the game stops being about potential and starts being about persistence. The people who rise are the ones who decide to keep moving, even when the path is full of pain, even when they've failed before, even when the odds say no. That's grit, and grit isn't something you're born with, it's a choice, it's a habit. It's a decision you make every day to honor your goals more than your feelings. Feelings come and go. You won't always feel inspired. You won't always feel ready, but grit doesn't wait for inspiration. Grit moves in silence. It moves in storms. It moves when no one claps, when nothing makes sense, when everything hurts. It's not driven by emotion. It's driven by purpose. You don't need to be the most talented. You need to be the most committed. You don't have to know everything. You just need to refuse to quit. You don't need permission. You need persistence. The world may not see your grind right now, but grit doesn't need an audience. It only needs a decision to keep showing up, to keep believing, to keep moving, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Every day, you're writing a story with your life, with your actions, your choices, your thoughts, your beliefs. And the role you choose to play determines everything. Your energy, your momentum, your future. The victim waits. The victim complains. The victim points fingers. But the hero takes ownership. The hero looks at the mess, the pain, the past, and says, I didn't choose all of this, but I do choose what I do next. That shift changes lives. That mindset transforms average into unstoppable. Victimhood feels safe at first. It gives you something to explain the struggle. It allows you to say, it's not my fault. And maybe it's not. Maybe you've been hurt. Maybe you've been abandoned, overlooked, underestimated. Maybe life threw things at you that others never had to face. But here's the truth. Carrying that pain doesn't mean you have to carry the identity of the one who was defeated. Because pain is real, but so is power. And you don't get both unless you decide to step into the driver's seat. Heroes are not people with perfect pasts. They're people who refuse to let their past become their prison. They use the same pain, the same obstacles, the same losses, but they repurpose them. They rise not because they had less to carry, but because they stopped waiting for someone else to come fix it. The victim says, why me? The hero says, what now? The victim says, I can't. The hero says, I must. That language becomes identity. And identity becomes destiny. You weren't born to sit on the sidelines of your own life. You weren't born to shrink when things get hard. There's something inside you that knows you're meant for more. But if you keep telling yourself the story of the one who was wronged, the one who lost, the one who never gets the break, then that's what your life will reflect. Not because it's the truth, but because it's the role you've chosen to play. The victim feels powerless. The hero takes power back, even if they have to fight for every inch of it. This doesn't mean pretending things didn't happen. It doesn't mean ignoring your past. It means refusing to let it become your identity. You can acknowledge the pain without becoming it. You can grieve the loss without living in it. Being the hero doesn't mean you don't feel the weight. It means you carry it anyway. It means you keep moving forward when every voice in your head is telling you to give up. It means you create meaning out of the mess. The world doesn't need more people pointing at the reasons why they are stuck. It needs more people bold enough to break the cycle, to rewrite the script, to stand up and say, I'm not letting this story end like this. And you don't need a perfect plan. You don't need certainty. You just need to decide right now that this version of you, the one who hesitates, the one who doubts, the one who plays small, is done. And the real you, the hero in you, is ready to lead. The hero doesn't wait for motivation. The hero creates movement. The hero takes action before they feel ready. The victim waits for rescue. The hero builds their own ladder. And that doesn't mean the journey is clean or easy. It's messy. It's uncomfortable. You'll fall. You'll fail. You'll get hit. But the hero understands one thing that the victim never will: pain is part of the process. And strength is born in the struggle, not in the safety. Every excuse you've ever told yourself, every story you've repeated, every limit you've accepted, it's all fuel. It can be the chains that keep you bound or the fire that drives you to rise. And the only difference is the role you choose. The moment you stop telling the story of defeat and start writing the story of defiance, everything changes. You don't need a rescue. You need a revelation that you are more powerful than you've been acting. that you are not what happened to you, that your past is a chapter, not the conclusion. You were never meant to live life reacting. You were born to create, to respond with power, not pain, to lead your life, not follow it. The hero doesn't need everything to be perfect. They just need one reason to keep going, one reason to rise, one decision to change the entire direction of their life.